Hello, and thank you for joining today, this important webinar that we're focusing on. My name is Spencer Matthews, and I'm the Executive Vice President of NextBranch. We appreciate you spending time with us today. We hope this topic is important and time well spent today. We're going to get started so we can stay on time. We're grateful to have some guests with us today and want to make sure we can get through all the content. Today's focus is going to be on effective video banking solutions as a solution to our staffing challenges we're dealing with today. So let's go ahead and get right into it. You'll notice on this webinar today that everyone is muted so that we can avoid background noises, but would love to hear from you. This is meant to be collaborative. I would love to have your questions and comments. And so please post those in the chat window. Or if you'd like to speak, you can click on the raise hand icon and I can unmute you, and you're welcome to ask any questions or make any comments during this segment. Before we dive into the topic, I just wanted to quickly introduce who our company is. NextBranch may be a familiar name to some of you, or it might be a brand new name to others. But NextBranch is part of a larger company named Grant Victor. We're headquartered here in Utah, of just about 30 minutes north of Salt Lake. And all of our companies are 100% focused on ATMs, ITMs, and TCRs. And so you'll notice we've got a couple companies that are focused on the financial industry, NextBranch and TetraLink. And NextBranch focuses on fully outsourced solutions for ATMs, ITMs, and TCRs. And definitely the video banking solutions fall under that same umbrella. But we also have TetraLink, which is Hyosung's largest distributor of equipment across the country. And then on the right side of this slide, you'll see we've got a couple companies that are focused on the retail industry. eGlobal owns and operates thousands of retail ATMs across the country in convenience stores and hotels and grocery stores, those types of locations. And Next ATM is a distributor of retail ATMs, parts and supplies for ATM operator businesses and ISOs. We like to say, as a company, our motto is we're big enough to matter, but small enough to care. We are a small family-owned company, but we have quite a reach into the ATM industry, as you'll see as you look at some of these stats. We're Hyosung's #1 partner globally when you look at the combination of our businesses. Through the years, and we've been in business now for over 20 years, we've sold or placed over 90,000 ATMs. And just to give you an idea, that equates to about 1 in 4 or 25% of the retail ATM market. We own and operate over 7,000 ATMs between financial institutions and retail locations. We've been listed among Inc. 5000's fastest growing companies. And then we also have a humanitarian part of our business called Grant Victor Cares, where we work on schools and education projects in Kenya, and have had a lot of amazing experiences participating in that. Our focus as a company is really what we call financial self-service, and helping create a more expansive self-service experience for customers and members of financial institutions. So our product lines include ATM, ITM, and TCRs as a service, or full outsourcing solutions. We offer core integrated ATMs and ITMs, cash recycling ATMs, video banking solutions, which is what we're going to be talking about today. And overall, just operations for these solutions. We take over full ownership and operations, take some of the headache away to make it a very simple, worry-free solution for your financial institution. The topic today is one that pops up regularly with us. It seems like every call we're on with banks and credit unions, the topic of just keeping staffing in place comes up and how challenging that is to deal with it. We deal with it as well as a company, and it's an interesting time. And this chart I think shows it well. If we look historically at unemployment rates, you'll see that big spike during COVID, and boy, did we recover quickly and are back to very low historic unemployment rates. Because of all these topics we're having, we decided to create this series of webinars. And some of you that are on today have maybe viewed our previous webinars, but we've created this series to talk about some of the technology solutions available today to help alleviate some of these staffing challenges. The first one we did was about migrating teller transactions to self-service utilizing core integrated ITMs. We talked about, on our second segment, ATMs and ITMs as a service, or the full outsourcing solution where we take on ownership of your ATM and ITM programs. Today, we're going to talk about two solutions, video banking. Number 3 is kind of this idea of teller assistance, centralized. And we use the term centralized, but really it's more remote teller assistance. And then the second solution is more remote specialist using the Hyosung Connect POPi product that we'll learn a lot more about today. Our last segment that we will do as part of this series is going to be focused on teller cash recyclers and how that can create some efficiencies within your branch. So stay tuned for that one. And as we dive more deeply now into staffing, I mentioned historically we're tied for the lowest in 20 years at 3.6% unemployment. In Utah, we're under 2%. So we definitely feel the pain. We hear these terms of great resignation where, employees that have had pretty standard, typical teller jobs and other types of jobs like that are resigning for positions that offer more remote capabilities or better benefits or higher pay. We see where tech companies are offering higher pay and more flexibility. And it's amazing for me to see that it seems like every time I go to fast food restaurants, and I probably go there more frequently than I should, that there will be a sign, saying that they are hiring, and you see anywhere from $15 an hour to $20 an hour in the fast food industry. Lastly, I think what's a really interesting trend is this idea of overemployment that we're hearing about in the news, where remote workers are secretly having multiple jobs. And you may have an employee hired by a company that also has another job with another company, and neither company knows about it. And so interesting things happening there. So today we want to focus on how effective video banking solutions can alleviate some of this pain. As we start to look at some interesting stats about video conferencing, you're probably a lot like me, that prior to COVID, I had never heard of Zoom. I had never done a Zoom call. Now I do multiple a day. And if we look at this chart, it's interesting to just see, this is Zoom's revenue from 2019 through 2022. And you'll notice in 2019, a very small amount of revenue, very small number of users. And boy, has that just taken off through COVID. So as we look at some of these stats, 1 in 3 Americans use live video to communicate with businesses today. So that's a growing trend. People are comfortable interacting with businesses over video. 60% roughly of companies use video conferencing in their day-to-day operations. I would guess that's actually probably low, and this number may be a little outdated. I would say that number is probably higher. I know personally, I use these video tools multiple times a day. What's interesting is of that 60%, or 50% of that 60%, 30% of people started using video for the first time due to COVID-19. And so we saw that take off. I was able to see a couple financial institutions that I had worked with that had deployed ITMs prior to COVID, and they were very easily able to make it through those COVID difficult times and have staff working remotely from home through video and able to take care of their customers. When we talk about video interaction within financial institutions, there's a lot of, there's a wide range of functions that you do within your companies. You'll see that there's a list, in particular, if you look at the bottom there with the arrows, you see on the left side, these are very high volume, lower value types of functions. Going to the right side is your lower volume, but higher value transactions. Complexity on the left is very simple, usually self-service through ATMs and ITMs. But then as we get over to the right side, it really involves more human interaction and more collaboration. And so today we're going to talk about two solutions, Hyosung ITMs and their Active Teller solution, which handle the left side of those transactions down at the bottom. And then we're excited to talk about and do a live demonstration of the Hyosung Connect, which is a partnership with POPi. And they will talk about how we now do those more complex functions on the right side of that chart. And so I'd like to introduce our panelists of specialists today. We're excited to have Joe Militello, who's a Senior Director of Channel Sales for Software with Hyosung. I've known Joe for many years, and Joe has been involved in some of the earliest ITM deployments and the software development that's happened on the Hyosung side. And we're grateful also to have Mike from POPi. He's one of the vice presidents, and he's going to talk about the POPi Hyosung Connect solution and do a live demonstration of how that product works. So really appreciate you both being on here. And Joe, I'm going to turn the time over to you, and you can talk through the Hyosung Active Teller and Hyosung Connect solutions.
Oh, great. Thanks a lot, Spencer. Well, thanks, everybody. I thought we'd start out with maybe reviewing Core Connect. I know you had a session on that, but our video teller solution, Active Teller, in many ways complementary to that. So just as a reminder, Core Connect is where we connect to financial institutions' core, and that way they can access all their accounts, they get a richer transaction set, they have more ways of authenticating themselves as a customer, or as a customer. And then, of course, non-customers can continue to use the ATMs. And why that's important, especially when we talk about staff optimization, is it gives institutions a lot of flexibility on what they want to do. They can maybe have different size branches as they migrate transactions to self-service and video teller. They can maybe do away with the pneumatic tubes and have ITMs in the drive-up lanes and consolidate the staff centrally with video tellers for a more effective use of that staff, or extend hours. But in any ways, it gives folks a lot more flexibility on how they go out and service their customers in these types of channels. As a reminder, we did our first core integration in 2015. We're on track to address about 70% of the core market with our product. We have over 100 FIs running in production. And as a result, that gives us some ability with our user group to get some feedback. And that group really has said that once they get core integration in, 90% or more of the transactions are run self-service. If you think about that, that really gives an opportunity for staff to be engaged in maybe some of the more productive service and or product sales areas that Spencer referred to before, the right-hand side of those double arrows. It's also enabled people to reduce staffing, and as I mentioned, refocus on sales and services. So Active Teller is our video teller product. I like to use this slide because it kind of differentiates it against the competition. I think a lot of folks are more familiar maybe with the competition because it's been in the market longer. And in that case, the customer really has to choose between, customer member chooses between an ATM or a video teller. And once they make that choice, they're locked in. So if I go in and select a video teller, but I want to do a deposit, but I'm not sure how to do a deposit self-service mode, that video teller can't educate me how to do that. Or if I select ATM and want to get out $600, but the ATM rules say I can only get out $500, I get all the way to the end of my transaction, I get it declined, have to start back over again. Our video teller solution is what we call a pure or true assisted self-service. Especially with core integration, but even without, the customers can run the majority of transactions themselves. But the financial institution gets to set the business rules for when they get involved. So if there's a dollar amount, so say for example, somebody wants to get out $600. If $500 is the limit, then automatically when someone selects $500 or more, a video teller gets engaged. And when they get engaged at that point, they can run that transaction for the customer, but it's seamless from a customer perspective. Similarly, if somebody wants to do a deposit and they don't know how to do it, that video teller can then see the customer screen. They can guide them through the process so that the next time the customer might be willing to do that in self-service mode. So you get to set those rules. Customer can always get a video teller. There's a help button on almost every screen. And there's some transactions that aren't self-service, on-us check cashing for non-customers, for example. And then we have all the same capabilities you're used to with a competitive solution, where we can use the terminal as a big cash acceptor, check acceptor, cash dispenser, and receipt printer. But what this does is it gives our staff the ability to, or your staff the ability to handle sales activity and relationship building, rather than necessarily spending all their time on heads down transaction processing. When this solution is combined with our Core Connect solution, we typically get one video teller, this is from our user group, for every 15 to 20 terminals, as compared to the competition where it's typically one video teller for every 2 to 4 terminals. So you can see this really gives an opportunity for staff optimization and branch optimization with the combination of those two solutions. Hyosung Connect is a newer offering that we're bringing to market. It's geared towards addressing these higher value interactions. As we're all familiar with, people expect to interact where they want, when they want. And the problem is that today's labor markets have made it more difficult to staff and have increased the expense of trained staff. Once you get somebody trained up after 2 or 3 months, often they have opportunities to go work somewhere else and you lose that investment. Some branches don't have enough business to actually justify a full set of staff in each location. So people try to make do by having, a finance expert in or a retirement expert in Tuesdays and Thursdays or something like that, which sometimes lends itself to a less than optimal customer or member experience. Some institutions have tried to invest in their mobile and website solutions to offer sales and services. But the issue is there's a lot of times folks do shopping, they find out about products, but when it comes to actually completing an application or opening an account, they tend to drop off. There's a lot high of what we call abandonment rate, because often they want to talk to a person to verify some information, get reassurance they're making the right choice, they're filling out the form the right way. And of course, your self-service and assisted self-service terminals, those channels are really geared to those high volume transactions. You don't necessarily want to have an island ATM or ITM tied up with somebody trying to determine which credit card they want to open when there's 4 or 5 cars behind them waiting to get out money for one reason or another. So Hyosung Connect is the product offering that we feel kind of addresses that. It's a cross-channel solution that works with your existing mobile or home banking solution. We can take your existing ATMs or ITMs and add QR codes to advertising or receipts so customers can transition when they're interested in a product to a digital experience seamlessly. We also have a hardware product we call Digital Desk that we can put in a branch and make every branch full service. So we think by offering a consistent set of services, a branch-like experience across all these channels, we can allow you to pool your resources in a central location. So it could be a centralized call center, or they could be staff and branch, but when they're idle, they can make themselves available across all these channels or to other branches, or they can be folks at home. So it gives you a lot of flexibility, allows you to optimize your existing staff more effectively across these channels. We think by offering these capabilities, it'll minimize the online, mobile, and abandonment rates. It'll allow customers to transition from self-service to human collaboration when they most need it and want that help to complete the purchase of a product or service or understanding. It'll enable customers to move from physical to digital and back again, just as they're used to doing in other industries. So what I think folks are pretty familiar with what a video teller tool set looks like. Well, video banker tool, what do you need to do? Well, some of the things, for example, are sharing screens. So you can share documentation with a customer and go through a rate list, for example. If they're filling an online application, you can co-browse a website so you can help them fill out the application. If you need to gather documentation or send down documentation, you can do that. They can use the camera on their phone or a scanner at the digital desk or a camera on their PC and capture documents and send them up, or those documents can be sent down where the customer can look at it. Both sides can review applications or contracts together. There's a virtual notary and digital signature capabilities, so you can get all the way to closing the entire deal. There's a task flow editor so that you can guarantee a consistent set of processes on your side. Of course, there's the video and chat, all that kind of stuff, but there's also meeting capabilities so that if you're chatting with one customer and they need to engage either a co-business partner or maybe their spouse to complete a document or do other documentation, you can invite other members into the meeting digitally and complete the transactions right then and there. Or if I don't have the expertise, I can engage another banker and bring them in on the call and answer that customer's concerns right there, or do a warm transfer or route it to another person. In many cases, institutions, as part of their staff optimization, have invested in scheduling tools. This tool set can integrate in with those scheduling tools to take advantage of those investments that have already been made. And of course, all the documents that are created or gathered as part of this can be fed into a document archive. So that's kind of the tool set for this Hyosung Connect product. When you think about it, our digital desk, the goal here is to put a piece of hardware in a branch or every branch and enable, you can have a mortgage expert, retirement expert, an investment expert, all kinds of experts in every branch because they're available via this digital desk. They have a full life immersive experience with the person sitting across them. There's a screen that's horizontal where all the confidential information, signatures, et cetera, are gathered. There's a scanner to capture documents, printers, a printer for any kind of takeaway, ID scanner to identify customers and non-customers. The screen can be used for signature capture. So it's got everything you need to do to have bring a customer from beginning to finish in a single engagement online digitally. Has a full suite of security and remote management of those devices, so your staff aren't concerned about the security, your customer's information, or availability of the hardware or the software. We have our partners POPi have deployed a branch experience before, and then one institution, they reduced staff by 20% while increasing their net promoter score by 30%. They reached 100% of in-branch lending through this digital experience, and they had a growth in new account opening. So it's an experience that customers like and have responded to. Connect Online is our ability to add to your existing mobile or home banking experience. So it's basically a branch experience, but in these digital channels. We add a widget. With that widget, a customer can decide or member can decide how they engage. They can start out by a chat, they can move to a phone call, or go to full video. Once they're in video, they can seamlessly go into a full immersive experience where they're co-browsing, screen sharing, exchanging documents, signing documents, everything that we talked about before. Where Connect Online has been deployed, there's also the ability to have a virtual financial assistant AI tool, especially for service organizations. They've been able to deflect 25 to 50% of the live agent interactions through the use of this AI tool. They can get a 20 to 40% reduction in service time using co-browsing, and then they've achieved staff reduction and optimization while growing new account openings. The last channel I'd like to talk about is Connect ATM. Here again on advertising or receipts, or if a video teller is talking to a customer, we can send a link, or the customer can take a picture of a QR code. That QR code leads to an institution specific menu. That menu can link to your existing scheduling tool, or can go to a product expert or a menu of product experts. So a customer can decide to engage that video expert when and where they want. It could also link to a digital desk or schedule a digital desk, that kind of thing. So that's Connect ATM. With that, I think we're going to do a demo, and I'd like to turn you over to Mike Maris. Mike?
Thank you, Joe.
Take over.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that. And hey, Spencer, appreciate the warm introduction earlier. So my name's Mike. I'm going to take you guys on a tour of Hyosung Connect and do a live demo today. So I'm going to share my screen and walk you guys through this. So actually, let me do this. Sorry, I'm going to change this view. So what you guys are looking at here is a website that we've mocked up. So you could just imagine this being your financial institution's website. And I'm going to play both roles. I'll be the banker, but I'm also going to be playing the role of the consumer as well. So what you're seeing here is the consumer at your website. This is an example of what we think is a good example of a contact us page. Everything here is possible through Hyosung Connect. And so, you know, it's all about giving your consumers choices on how they want to come into a conversation with your financial institution. And so if somebody's visiting your website, you could even live observe that and know that they're on your website. And you could even pop up a custom chat widget and say, hey, I see you're looking at auto loans. You know, would you like to talk about that? Totally possible from a live observe perspective. Notice down here too that we have a chat widget that's here, and this is highly customizable. So you've got AI, conversational AI built into this. You have connect with a product expert or schedule a meeting. If your institution hasn't looked at scheduling meetings, we're seeing a ton of success from financial institutions that are leveraging that as a tool. But looking at the AI capabilities, Joe mentioned that we can fend off quite a few of those inbound calls coming in through a virtual assistant. You know, things like, what is my routing number? Oops, if I can type here. It's just an example. And you're seeing these sample responses back, but you can see where they could say, where's the closest location? If we're integrated into a core, it could be, what's my account balance, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So lots of capabilities there as far as leveraging that virtual assistant. It could even be, could I speak with someone? And then this is where you could pop up the options around different departments that they could leverage. And these could all be dynamic. So if you don't have somebody right now able to do a virtual online notary, you could just not show that category as an option right here. But if I want to talk to someone about an auto loan, now you can present, how does that consumer want to come into this conversation? Do they want to start with a voice conversation? Do they want to continue to chat with somebody at the FI? Or do they want to come in as a full video experience? Just for time's sake, I'm going to jump right to a video experience and show you what that looks like. So I'm going to choose my speaker microphone and video, put in my first name, last name, email address, agree to the terms, and then submit that. And so now I'm in the queue. So when that's answered by the financial institution, I'll get on mute here pretty quick. When I answer that, I have the opportunity then to be able to be in a live video experience with them. And so that's the opportunity to then sort of create like a branch-like experience where, we'd be video to video. Sorry, guys, I didn't get on mute quick enough there. Sorry about the echoing. Let me go ahead and stop my video too in Zoom so we can focus just on this. So now the consumer sees me as the banker, and I could continue to chat back and forth with them. I also have the context of the entire virtual experience that they had. So when they were talking to that virtual agent, all of that is now here in front of me, so I can see that entire chat experience. If I want to co-browse with them at this point, I can do that. If you want to leverage your self-serve tools that are on your website, we could continue to help them with that. But if I want to treat this again more like a branch experience, I can say, hey, let's upgrade to a full experience. When the consumer agrees to that, now I've got a whole workspace here that I can leverage during this interaction. So if I want to, say share some information on an auto loan, for example, and I can put up some content for them. I could put up a rate sheet, and this is just a static slide that I'm sharing with them, but it could also be an area of your website. So if you have current rates on your website that you want to share with them, you could do that as well. So now that I've educated them on some options there, I could also share a screen if I wanted to. So if, say I want to put up a loan calculator and we want to start working through payment amounts, I have that ability to screen share as well. So maybe they want to borrow $65,000, for example, on an auto loan. I have the ability to do that as well. So now that we've educated them on options for a consumer loan, maybe I need some information from them. So I have the ability to ask them for their ID, for example. So if I want to make that request, I could say, hey, let me get your identification. And because we meet all of the remote online notary requirements, we can also give a confidence score back to the financial institution on that ID. So they provide you the front of their driver's license. They provide you the back of their driver's license. And then what happens is this is actually going out to a national database now where it's going to provide a confidence score on that ID. And so that's what it's doing, is looking at the elements of that identification. I did get a confidence score back of 97 on that. So now I know I can move forward. If I also want to prompt them with out-of-wallet questions, I could do that as well. So these are real. I was born in August. We'll go through and answer these. Let's see, over 5 years. Maricopa. So I'm just going through and answering some of these questions and then submit. And so now that the out-of-wallet questions are completed, then we'd be able to move for the rest of the process, whether we're doing a notary, whether we're doing a wire transfer, opening up a new account today, doing a loan application. I'd get whatever I need input into my core, my loan production system. And then once I have the document ready, I can go ahead and present that directly to that consumer. And they could be on a mobile device, they could be on a Mac, a PC. Joe did a really good job talking about the in-branch experience, but this could also be a DocuSign signing ceremony or IMMs, or fully integrated. This is our built-in proprietary solution here. But that consumer now has the opportunity to review that document. And once they accept it, they'll agree to the electronic signature and consent terms, adopt an electronic signature. And if, let's say they're sitting next to a co-applicant, I could send that also to that co-applicant for them to sign. So in this example, we'll say I'm with my wife, and that document then could be sent to her to sign. If she's on her own device, we could also deliver that document to another mobile device. If someone's in the in-branch experience and someone's on a mobile, we can send those documents to any of those devices. So now this example would be my wife going through the signing process. So just like before, for fun, I'll choose a different font for the signature and then accept that. And then watch how fast I can return this back to the consumer. The document's fully completed. I've countersigned it. Everything's dated. And you'll even see that it embeds the e-signature information right into this document. One thing too that it did is it actually took the picture of both consumers at the moment they signed the document. So really hard to dispute you sign something when it literally takes your picture at the moment you signed it. So that'd be a completed document. And so from here, let's say that application process is done and now they want to talk to a consumer lender or a mortgage specialist or whoever it might be. I could add another banker to this call, and it could be warm so they'd see both of us. At any point I could drop off and they could continue. I could also generate a meeting ID number tied to this specific meeting. And so if we wanted to add another applicant, we could send them a URL. They could click on that from a text or an email and join this again from any device. Let me show you too, just real quick, what this agent side of the experience looks like. So let me do this. So here's what I'm looking at, just so you get a view of that. So do you see here how it has all of the virtual assistant information that came through? You can see how we're texting back and forth, but you just get a view here of everything that the agent's seen. So you're just on this dashboard. This is where you have all those tools available. You were seeing me interact with some of that, some controls. So just to show you how the experience is not equal on both sides, this is where all the tools reside on the FI side of the experience, and we've designed the consumer experience to be really simple. So I hope you guys end the call that provides a little bit of a survey opportunity back to the customer, and that'd be a completed call. And on the agent side, I would be ready, set to available, and ready to take that next call. So back to you, Spencer.
Thank you, Mike. And thanks, Joe, for your presentation as well. That was a great live demo. Interesting to see it live. I'm going to open it up to some questions now. Let me just share this screen. Let me just look at the chat window. Again, if you've got any questions, feel free to enter them in the chat window, as well as if you'd like to be unmuted and would like to ask a question, you can do so as well by just clicking on that raise hand icon. So just a couple questions that I might start with. And Joe, I'll start with you. You talked a little bit about Hyosung's strategy with core integration and ITMs and how you can have one teller assigned to 15 or 20 machines, right? What are you seeing typically if someone is using core integrated ITMs? What percentage of transactions are usually requiring some type of video interaction?
That's a good question, Spencer. Part of it depends on the business rules, how much risk you're willing to take. Because often the biggest reason people get involved for video tellers or video tellers get involved is these limits. You know, if you want to withdraw $500, one institution may decide that's when they want to get a teller involved to take somebody's driver's license or just do a secondary verification of identity. Others may draw the line at 1,000. But typically, according to our users group, we're seeing over 90%. 90% of the transactions or more done with self-service, and 10% or less are done with video teller.
Okay, great. And that's a big differentiator. I know when you talked about the competition, the Hyosung strategy is really self-service first, and then assistance when needed, particularly on just a transaction-driven ITM transactions. And then on your side, Mike, what are you seeing are the most common uses for the POPi product? Is it account openings, loans? Can you just give us a quick summary of the customers you have? What are they most commonly using this solution for?
Yeah, it's so primarily around new account openings and lending. Those are our top two use cases. When people tend to adopt this strategy, we've seen many end up with about half of their loan closings being done through a video channel as opposed to a member walking into a branch. So those are kind of the two use cases for a lot of FIs. When they think in terms of that abandonment you were talking about earlier with online new account application processes, a lot of times it's a small hurdle they need to get over. So that's where like things like co-browsing can really help. But in many times you want to do a true onboarding process with a new consumer. And so that's where the solution from a new account opening perspective makes a huge difference, because you can build that relationship and that rapport as they're opening that new account. You have that opportunity to cross-sell effectively, deepen the wallet share as far as them using you as a primary financial institution. Believe it or not, though, 12% of our video calls are actually wire transfers, which it seems like a really big number, but that speaks to the fraud mitigation opportunity. I was at a trade show recently and had an FI run up to this group of other financial institutions saying, guys, we stopped a fraud event and it literally funded the entire solution because of one fraud mitigation. And you could see why institutions end up moving in this direction for wire transfers for that purpose.
Great. No, thank you. Maybe I'm going to play devil's advocate here a little bit. As we talk about this solution, definitely see the fit for, online and mobile. We talk about video within the branch. We talk about digital desk solution from Hyosung, in collaboration with POPi. How are you finding video collaboration is working within branches? I guess if someone is coming to a branch, aren't they typically expecting to talk to a person versus go over and start a video call with the loan agent, for example? How is that being received?
Yeah, I'll go first, Joe, and then I'll let you add on to it if you don't mind, because I'm pretty passionate about this one. And it's a common question. I can't tell how many FIs have said that very statement to us. Oh, if our customers are coming into a branch, they want to see somebody live in the branch.
Yep.
But what we have found, we've had many financial institutions that have actually gone out and done net promoter scores and done a compare and contrast with consumer walking in a brick and mortar location and having a video experience as opposed to sitting across the desk. The net promoter score is higher when that's happening over video, which I know is hard to believe, but let me support that a little bit with what we've learned. One is you typically reduce wait times when you walk into a branch. So if I want to talk to Joe, the loan officer in the branch, he may be with some consumers and I may be waiting 20 minutes to talk to him. You can open up immediate bandwidth in any branch location so they can talk to an expert level person right away without any wait time at all. Secondarily, you are getting through to an expert level person. For those of you that have tried to go down the path of universal bankers, it's a very difficult path. It takes months, if not years, to get somebody there where they're truly expert level on all the areas you need them to be. And so with this, you can have your very best people brought into every branch location. And so they're expert level people. So the time it takes from start to finish is reduced. They have all the answers. And so again, that's what, and then third, it's something that people are going to tell their family and friends about. There's still kind of a wow factor of seeing this life-size person over video, being able to take care of everything you need from start to finish, all the way even through notarizing a document, all done on a video screen. And so I think there's a wow factor involved as well, which increases the net promoter scores.
Got it. Joe, anything you would add to that? Is Mike right?
Yeah, I think Mike's spot on. I also think, part of it is, if you think about people going to the branch, I may have forgotten my W-2 at home. Well, if my wife's at home, I can phone her, she can get invited in the conversation, so I don't have to start and stop. Or if I do have to start and stop, I can actually go home, get the W-2, engage on my phone or my PC, and talk to an agent and pick up where I want off. So even if I just start in the branch, then the whole experience ends up being smoother and more convenient for a customer, rather than all this starting and stopping and having to find another hour to come into the bank branch. So I think there's a lot of benefits to it, and that's what shows the increase in the net promoter scores.
Got it. Me and my wife, we have 5 daughters, and I'll tell you, it is so hard for us to get on the same schedule. If we are ever doing refinancing our mortgage, doing a car loan. It is so hard to find time together to go meet at the same place. And that's one of the features I really like about this is I could be at work, she could be at home. We could finish the whole loan process. Yep. No, great answers. Let me just see if there's any other questions that are popping up. And as I mentioned, if anyone would like to ask a question verbally, feel free to raise your hand and I can unmute you. While we're waiting for that, Mike, you mentioned the notary function. I know that's fairly new with POPi. How is that going? And are there certain states that are approved for that, or how does that all work?
Yes, so right now there's only about 12 left that do not allow for remote online notary. So the vast majority of states now do allow for it. And one little caveat around that too, if you have branches in California, but also in a state, say like Utah, that does allow for remote online notary, you can actually service your California resident from Utah with those remote online notaries. So we're seeing a lot of people doing those types of things. But we're proud to say that we're certified in the vast majority of states that are out there. I won't take the time to list them all right now, but chances are that if you're in a state where it does allow for remote online notary, we're probably certified. And you guys could easily imagine when we went through that signing ceremony, right? And I was validating your ID and asking you those out-of-wall questions. Well, those are requirements for remote online notary, which is one of the reasons I showed it. I could have easily dropped my notary seal on that document digitally, which is crazy to me, being a past credit union notary. And then what happens is that you then provide a PIN number to that consumer. They get an email with a link to access that notarized document. They use the PIN, and it's as simple as that. And then also, the really nice aspect of it too is it automates all of the notary journals. So everything there is done in an automated way. And so I think it's going to be an example where FIs are going to actually prefer to do a notary on our system as opposed to doing it the more traditional way with somebody walking into a branch.
Sure. No, that is really slick.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm thinking we were on a call just the other day with a financial institution. The three of us were together actually speaking with the financial institution. And one thing that was so eye-opening to me, they're looking at doing a micro branch strategy. And we've seen this with some of our other customers where they will create a full function branch, in less than 300 square feet. And that's what I love about the prospects of this. I was at a mall in Utah recently, and there was a Bank of America branch inside the mall. It was a micro branch, freestanding, in the middle of the hall, basically, where it had a Hyosung ITM connected to that little kiosk, and then it had a video room, right, where customers could step in and do these types of functions we're talking about. And Joe, we're really excited about the digital desk idea and how you could have a small mini branch that has a Hyosung ITM for all the transactions, and then you've got the digital desk where you could connect to a loan agent, set up a new account, those types of things. Give us an update on the digital desk. I know it's a brand new product from Hyosung. Where are you at with that? And when do you see that kind of being launched and available?
Yeah, great question. So the digital desk, our beta units are coming in this month in October, actually. We're going to be in pilot with our 2 beta customers before the end of the year. And then we think it's going to be generally available March or April of next year, generally orderable. So we're pretty excited about it, Spencer.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you. Let me just see if there's any last questions here. Nothing that is coming through that I could see. If you have any last questions, post them in there or raise your hand. We're happy to answer any questions you have. One thing I'll mention is we are recording today's webinar and placing it on the NextBranch website. And so if you go to nextbranch.com, you can click on resources there. And we've got the recording of today's webinar, as well as all the previous ones we've done that you're welcome to go view again, share with other team members that maybe weren't able to join today. I don't see any last questions, so we're going to go ahead and sign off. Joe and Mike, we really, really appreciate your partnership, and thanks for hopping on with us today. If you'd like to learn, those of you attending today, if you'd like to learn any more information about these solutions, we'd love to talk to you at NextBranch. So you can reach out to sales@nextbranch.com or go to our website and for the phone number there and give us a call. We'd love to talk about these solutions more. So Mike and Joe, thank you as always. And we hope everyone has a great day.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.